haven't touched our guest bedroom since we moved into this brand new home, and I'm going to work with what I have as far as furnishings and some decor and see what I could do just for some quick DIYs. I want to change the look of the bed frame. It's actually just a really dark kind of pewter, and it's got a little bit of a texture to it, and I thought maybe if I painted it, we could go with something a little bit more colorful and a little bit more lively for this room. I'm always really taken how well chalk paint sticks to most surfaces, including metal. I've already painted a bed frame, and I actually have another one I'm going to do, but I can do this entire bed frame in just one coat. Now I am doing kind of a darker blue color, but if you were going to be painting it much lighter, you may have to go with 2 coats, but it's really fast and it makes such a dramatic difference. This bedroom is actually quite small, so I'm going to actually think about limiting the amount of furnishings I'm going to put in here, but I am really thankful there's a huge closet, so there's plenty of storage, so this way if you do have guests come over, they have places to put their stuff. But I figured since the bed was going to take such a big predominance to this room, I thought dressing it up in a nice fun blue, and I absolutely love this Aubusson Blue color. This bed is actually a queen size day bed. I love its versatility. Hand painting a bed frame is actually pretty quick and easy, but if you do have a spray gun and you prefer to do that, you can use chalk paint in a spray gun as well. So I went around the entire frame, including the mattress frame, but not the inside, and painted everything with just 1 coat of the Aubusson. Now what I want to do is bring back the texture of the actual metal, and this way I decided to go with the white wax on top of the chalk paint. This will also seal the chalk paint as well. I love the softness in which white wax does to chalk paint colors. It really gives it a lot of definition, and again, it's just pulling up all that beautiful texture the metal already has. Depending on the color you would choose, sometimes you may want to actually put clear wax down first before you put white wax, in case you're unsure of how much lighter you want your chalk paint color to turn. I love the end result. Other pieces I've had from my previous home and now being in a new home, this is a great way just to upcycle what you already have. So I have this floor lamp, and I also made this beautiful mix from a color challenge I did a few weeks ago. By mixing these 2 colors, I actually made this really beautiful blue-gray tone. So I had a whole bunch left over, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to actually paint this floor lamp. Just changing up these simple things that we already have around our home can make such a beautiful difference. And because chalk paint is so strong and so thick, it really sticks well to metals. I'm really happy with how strong and balanced it sticks to these kind of surfaces. Because this particular shade of blue is a lot lighter than the one I did for the day bed, I'm definitely going to have to put 2 full coats onto this. This was a super fast, easy project to do. Sometimes it's those simple things that you have around your house that if you want to make a colorful, even something bold, without having to oversaturate the room like a wall. So taking these smaller objects that we normally have around our home, this is a great way to add some colorful elements. Especially if you've got a lot of neutrals in your living rooms or your spare rooms, this is a great way to add a beautiful, bold statement. So I painted the entire pole and the top part, but the actual, where the light fixture itself is, I didn't bother to paint that because the shade will actually cover it anyhow. But this took me less than an hour to do, and I love the results. I fell in love with the floor lamp, so I decided to take this old lamp that I've had for probably close to 10 years and thought, well, it's pretty scratched up, so this would be a great opportunity to try some satin paint, which is new chalk paint, but a satin formula, meaning it's all in one, so you don't have to use any clear wax once you're finished painting. So because the satin paint is an all-in-one paint, it does actually have a little tiny sheen to it, but it still has a matte-like finish. This is the first time I've used this product, and I am gonna say it works beautifully. It goes on like butter, and I only needed to put one coat onto this. But depending on the type of metal or the color of metal that you're painting, you may need 2 coats, but very little, maybe even 1.5. But this is a great way to upcycle something you already have, or if you've thrifted some beautiful shaped lamps and you just want to change the color. I really recommend this satin paint. Like I said, it's going on like butter and it's so smooth. And again, it's a beautiful way to put color embellishments for what is already a neutral room. And you can always change it up again if you get tired of one color. Over time, you can paint it another color. But this all-in-one satin paint is perfect for these metal projects. And you don't need a top sealer. So I wanted to practice some fun techniques with an already end table I have. And I love what I've done to it, but this is a great size table to play around with some new ideas. I really wanted to try a crackle effect, so I saw that the stamp is a product from Redesign with Prima. So I wanted to give this a try and see if maybe I could do some random stamping as well as work with some color glazing and see what I could come up with this small end table just to give it a new makeover. I've been slowly putting my rooms in this new house together, and it's just as fun to play with the furniture and the furniture styles as you put your rooms together. So it's kind of working from the inside out. So first thing I'll do is put on a full coat of the Whistler Gray, let that dry completely. And I do want to create lots of random brush strokes so this way I can play with that texture when I get into the next steps. I've done a few stamps in the past with furniture, but I don't really have a lot of experience with it, so this is really good practice for me too. But I have seen the projects done with the Crackle and the stamp Crackle, and it does look pretty amazing, so I'm really looking forward to giving this a try. And if something doesn't work out the way I don't like it, I'll just go back to that base color and try again. Putting designs to your furniture pieces can be a lot of fun, but it's not about being perfect for your first time. It's okay to make some mistakes, but it's the fun of trying it, and you'll learn what works and what doesn't work, and you'll understand kind of its balances. So too much paint, not enough paint, and that's the fun of playing. So once I get all of this base coat on and it's 100% and completely dry, then I'm gonna go and do my stamps. And the beautiful thing is the stamps come with an actual separate sheet. So when you flip the stamp over, then you're gonna use the textured side there. And this is where you're gonna actually apply the paint to, but then you also have a sheet to grip the stamp with. So I decided to go ahead with graphite, which is a much darker gray, almost a black tone. Now, because this end table is quite small, I decided to kind of go with a random look with the stamps. So, because the stamp itself is going to be a little bit big for this size table, so I'm going to do small sections of stamping. So once the stamp is completely covered in the color that you've picked, then you can go ahead and place it. And you can place it side by side, and that's just going to keep the continuity of the stamp if you have a larger surface. But I really love this Crackle stamp look. I'm definitely going to play with this again. It's really important to rub the stamp thoroughly just to make sure that the paint and the stamp press is nice and equal. The tabletop itself was easy to repeat the stamp, but as far as the drawers and the side, this is where I just kind of went and did something kind of random. So I did a little Crackle on one side, and then I used the other stamp to do the other side. So I just kind of wanted to make it irregular, as we're going to be going with a lot of a faded look, as well as a little bit of an old world look, because I'm going to do some color glazing on top. I almost want the stamps to be a little bit more faded, so a great way to do that is just to grab that base color, which is the Whistler Gray, and I'm just going to lightly tap some of the paint around the fresh stamp, once the stamp is dry, of course, and then I'm just going to kind of fade it out a little bit. And I love working with clear glaze because I can mix different colors with my clear glaze, and I like to try with a 50% ratio of 50% glaze to 50% paint. And what that does is it's going to create the paint to be a little bit more transparent. So I used a French linen as well as a cream color chalk paint with that 50-50 mix with the clear glaze. And this is just going to allow me to create these kind of highlights and lowlights. And Hatley's really into this. He's always perfect company when I paint. I'm just going to go around to edges and corners, and I take a moist shop towel, and what I do is once I've placed my color glaze mix, I like to take that shop towel and kind of adapt it a little bit, creating another texture with that color glaze. I want the shop towel to be moist because I don't want it to absorb the glaze. I just want to create a little bit of a texture with the glaze, as well as I can kind of tap out a little bit here and there just to kind of smooth out where I want that faded look from the beginning to the end. I'm just really kind of going for that really old kind of worn look with the transparency of the color glaze mix. And I try to do it in small sections. So if I go and try a little bit here and I want to make it a little bit more richer, just wait for it to dry and you can go back and do another kind of a light feather with the color glaze on top until it's to the depth that you like. So this would be something that would be very faint, but I think I'm going to go back and add a little tiny bit more. And again, it's just really fun to play with. And if for any reason you've kind of gone a little too much and you're kind of feeling like you've put a little too much of the glaze, you can always go back to that base color that you started with, and in this case was the Whistler Gray. And you can just tap in the base color and that will bring down the glaze tinting that you did. The glaze and paint mixture that I've made is that of something very similar to a color wash. People will take paint and water, say 50-50, and again, it's just kind of diluting that paint concentration. That's what this glaze is doing. So you can change that viscosity. So if you want to make it a little stronger or you want to make it a little weaker, just play with that change from the glaze to paint mix. But for this one, I used 50% glaze to 50% paint. So you can make this a little bit weaker or a little bit stronger when it comes to the color pigment. I really enjoy creating that kind of old world nostalgic look to furnishings, but I would really like to demonstrate on some upcoming videos on all the fun things that you can do with glaze and colors. There's so many different kind of faux finishes, so I'm really looking forward to sharing some of those demonstrations with you. I really love the fun things you can do with glaze and paint mix. but it also has a longer working time versus working with water and paint. And I find it's a lot less drippy. So again, I'm really looking forward to sharing more glaze effect ideas with you soon. Thank you so much for watching this week's video, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you soon. Until then, take care.